Shaw Communications will donate $150 to a local charity in the Red Deer community chosen by the gold medalist. That's $25,000 going towards deserving charities in central Alberta. Thank you, Shaw, for making an impact in our community.
Pour chaque médaille d'or remportée aux Jeux du Canada 2019, Shaw Communications versera $150 à un organisme de bienfaisance de Red Deer choisi par le médaillé d'or. Au total, $25,000 seront ainsi versés à des organismes de bienfaisance du centre de l'Alberta. Merci, Shaw, de faire un impact positif au sein de notre collectivité.
We wish to acknowledge the ancestral and traditional Indigenous territories of the Treaty 6 Cree and Treaty 7 Blackfoot and Stoney Nations. We also recognize this region as a historical Métis gathering site, and we are grateful to be here as we gather today for this event.
Nous tenons à remercier les Premières Nations faisant partie du traité numéro 6, les Cris, et du traité numéro 7, les Pieds-Noirs et les Stoney, car nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui sur leurs terres ancestrales et traditionnelles. Cette région est également un lieu de rassemblement traditionnel des Métis et c'est un privilège de pouvoir nous y réunir dans le cadre de cet événement.
This morning we are honored to be joined by Keith Glover. He was the 1975 Canada Winter Games gold medal winner. He is our sport ambassador for the sport of curling. Let's give a wave to Keith. Please rise if you are able to remove your hats for our national anthem. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez vous lever et enlever vos chapeaux pour l'hymne national. The games will commence shortly. You may slide. Les jeux vont commencer bientôt. Vous pouvez glisser.
Welcome, curling fans, to the 2019 Canada Winter Games from here in Red Deer, Alberta today. We're really excited to join today. We have a game from Alberta versus Northwest Territories in our third draw today.
Good luck and good curling. Les jeux peuvent commencer. Bonne chance et bon curling.
Once again, Joel Peterman here back in the booth, going to commentate this game for you today. We got the females, Alberta versus Northwest Territories, and joined in the booth today, I have Fred Armstrong. How are you doing today, Fred?
Just doing fine, thank you.
Perfect. So Fred is an awesome curler from here in Red Deer. Fred has won a few provincial championships himself. A very distinguished curler from here in Red Deer, so it's a pleasure to have Fred in the booth with me today.
Thanks, Joel. I think we got ourselves a good game started here. Northwest Territories are actually started out having a little bit of a rough go at 0-2, and Alberta is 1-0.
Perfect. So Northwest Territories trying to get on the board here. Alberta trying to keep the momentum going that they started yesterday afternoon. Seems like we have another good crowd here today. The stands are starting to get packed. We got a lot of volunteers all around us. So getting things going here right away.
Okay, so territory starting out just a little bit quick here. We've got our first rock coming from Team Alberta. So Alberta started with the hammer.
So to gain hammer at the Canada Winter Games here, they kind of do a last stone draw. So the very last stone that they throw in practice actually counts, and they measure that rock. The team that has the closest last stone draw actually is awarded hammer at the Canada Winter Games. So Alberta had the closest last stone draw today, and they will start with the hammer here in the first end.
Okay, so the girls were trying to throw a corner guard. It got out a little wider than I think they wanted. Looks like lots of pull in the ice, Joel. It seems like it's going very carbon to the edges and to the middle.
Absolutely. Dustin and I kind of touched on this yesterday, but with Wade and his crew with such good ice here, really need to be positive with that handle. And good positive rotation will help keep that rock a little bit straighter. If you're a little bit lazy on it, we can kind of see them take off, kind of like we saw that last one.
Yes, if you throw a flat handle, I'm afraid they take the turn take the pull and really walk sideways.
Absolutely. Good adjustment here by Adriana Hendrick. A little bit of a corner guard, but she's kind of got the guard up either way, so she's happy with that one. Good adjustment there.
Okay, so we have Quinn Prodnick just trying to go behind the guard now. Sorry, I got the wrong name there. It's actually Juliana McKenzie.
Being watched closely here by Alyssa Nedwin and Krim Prodnick, sorry, I apologize. Good shot there by McKenzie, getting right behind the center guard.
Exactly. Good shot.
I like this aggressive nature of Alberta. They know coming in with a little bit of confidence after that first win yesterday, knowing that Northwest Territories is still looking for that first win, kind of coming right at them right from the beginning is kind of a good strategy we see from the girls from Alberta. So this is the older Gillis on the Northwest Territories team with an awesome run back there. Great shot by Matea Gillis from Northwest Territories.
Very nice.
Tough to throw a run back in the first end. That's not always easy, especially when you're not used to the ice.
Exactly. Making that shot in the first end is incredible. Really good shot for these kids.
Now Alyssa Nedwin. This may be a name that you know at home. The Nedwin name is kind of familiar through curling circles around the country. Her dad, of course, Dave Nedwin, the 4-time, I believe, Brier champion. And her mom, of course, is Heather Nedwin, also a Scotties champion in her own right. So Alyssa comes from quite the curling family.
Yes, she's definitely got the background, that's for sure. I'm sure she's been in a lot of curling rinks.
At age 13, too, to see her out here already, she's going to have multiple chances at the Canada Winter Games. It's pretty exciting for her to get this first opportunity here on her home soil. Matea Gillis throwing an in-turn hit here. Trying to get maybe behind the guard. We're going to go around the corner instead. Not a bad shot.
Not bad at all.
So good mature call here by Bakos. Instead of ignoring that one over on the side, and instead going to try and put the pressure on again on the Northwest Territories, asking Nedwin here to come around the center guard. You might see her go around kind of maybe the corner guard, utilizing her corner guard that she threw earlier, but instead going to come around the center.
Well, they went in there very good in the first one, so I think they want to try it again.
This is that same path that they used. Nedwin with a fantastic delivery here, looks good.
Very good. She's
Prodnick and McKenzie guiding her in for her. Nice shot there by Nedwin. Slips a little bit behind the tee line, but still behind the guard. Kind of does the trick.
Absolutely.
We're going to see that same run back here attempted by Team Northwest Territories. We now have the younger Gillis on the team, the 14-year-old Gillis from Northwest Territories. This is Pearl Gillis, left-hander, and as Dustin touched on yesterday, every good team needs a lefty apparently.
Yeah, Dustin would think that, that's for sure.
A little bit wide, but we might get a plan B.
I think she's going to get it out of there anyway.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's called missing in the right direction.
Exactly. Sometimes our junior teams kind of miss the wrong way, and it's got maybe a pro side miss there to miss on that side of it and still getting rid of the blue Alberta stone.
Okay, now we have Quinn Prodnick trying to make that a draw around the center. Well, that guard is actually off center, so it's almost like a corner as well. So.
Yep. Got some Johnny Cash playing for us now.
Yeah.
This one's kind of taken off on him early, maybe a little bit lighter.
Yeah, I think she's going to rack on the guard.
Yeah. A little bit less weight, a little bit different path. Kind of took off on them early. Leaves the center guard there for Northwest Territories. Kind of advantage to the Northwest Territories now if they can get around that rock. Sitting one here in the first end at the Canada Winter Games. As we wait for Pearl Gillis to throw here, we can update you guys on the standings so far at the Canada Winter Games. So far in the women's event, we have Manitoba and Nova Scotia alone at 2-0. Newfoundland, Ontario, PEI, Quebec, Saskatchewan all tied at 1-1. Alberta here that we're featuring today is 1-0. And then we have New Brunswick, Northwest Territories, and BC still without their first win. Once again, we see Pearl Gillis maybe get a little bit inside here, a little bit different path. The worry here would be to bump the Alberta stone in and kind of do the work for them. And I'll do just that, just sneak it into the rings. You guys might not see that on the camera, but that blue rock is biting about 3/4, 2/3 into the rings. Alberta's second shot with Northwest Territories sitting one over on the wings. Pecos deciding to go around the corner here. So Freddie, my partner here, I think you guys lost the Masters National Final last year, I believe, in 2017?
Yeah, actually it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah. We got to the Canadian final, lost to Al Hackner.
Al Hackner, so that's a name also you'll hear at home. Freddie and the team here from Red Deer went all the way to Nationals, which were out in Ontario, I believe.
Yeah, we actually went to Guelph, Ontario. Finished the round robin, actually tied for first place with 3 other teams, and because we had beat, 2 other teams, Saskatchewan and Northern Ontario. Because we had beat both of them in the round robin, we were actually awarded first place, so which gave us actually the hammer all the way through the playoffs.
Perfect.
We had a good run. It was the first national for me. Actually, it was the first national for 3 out of the 4 of us. So
right on. Quite the experience playing against a legendary player like Al Hackner then too.
Yes, actually playing Al, and actually there was an old Alberta transplant out there. Frank Morissette was playing second for Al Hackner.
Oh, right on.
Okay, so Northwest Territories is actually going to attempt to come around the center guard again. They were taking a little more ice this time, Joel. I think they were surprised how much pull they got out there when they got out to the edge.
We touched on this yesterday, Dustin and I, but teams that are quite maybe not used to the same kind of swing, we're almost similar to arena ice here that we get in Red Deer, which we're quite fortunate with the speed and the curl. So teams that aren't quite used to that from their home rink maybe come here, not throwing as much handle and not quite used to it. So it's a good adjustment that we see Northwest Territories taking a little bit more ice here, adjusting for that curl. This might be slipping a little bit too far.
Just slips too deep.
Much better line there, though, by Pearl Gillis III. Quite a young team we got from Northwest Territories here. Our oldest player is only 15 years old. However, we have 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a couple 15-year-olds, so a young team. So Bakos once again ignoring the rock over on the wings. She would have an opportunity to sit too, but it's kind of a mature call. If you get around here, you might have a shot for 3 on your next one. So sometimes we see at the juvenile level, they maybe would chase that shot rock, but so it's a very mature call here by Bakos.
Yeah, it's very aggressive.
Yeah. If she can stay anywhere on the top of the house, half buried, would be a fantastic shot. Obviously, fully buried would be her goal.
Exactly. Line looks good.
You see here a little bit more positive rotation. The rock staying out there a little bit longer than the Northwest Territories stone.
Oh, there we go.
But there's the snap point. Rubs off. Alberta will now be sitting second and third shot. Northwest Territories still sitting shot rock here without hammer in the first end. Might see some kind of hit here by Northwest Territories now.
Yeah, the Territories have got a decision to make, because if you try to hit and roll to roll in, Joel, there is a possibility you could jam that on that back yellow one on the side.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure. They're trying to decide whether they should do that or if they should actually run the short guard in.
Yep, always got to account for that jam.
Yeah.
So since we're in the first end too, we'll touch on a few of the rules that the kids have. Girls today get 30 minutes of thinking time. So we explained it yesterday, but 30 minutes of thinking time will start. So your clock starts when the other team's stone comes to rest, and your time will stop when you cross the close tee line. So it's thinking time instead of throwing time, which we saw in the past. They've gone with this thinking time for a few years now, but the girls get 30 minutes for their 8-end game. They also have 2 timeouts that they can call. Our coaches are sitting right out on the ice, so they're right close to them. However, the girls will have to call the timeout there from the ice as well. So it's a very good learning experience here for these teams at the Canada Winter Games, this national stage that they're not quite used to yet for some of these girls, especially some of these younger teams. Really good experience for them to get into this atmosphere.
Yes, there's definitely a benefit to this if they ever get into even the juniors and then follow on into the ladies. The more of this time you get to spend on this type of playing surfaces as well as this type of pressure, it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And we see a lot of teams that go on from this level and on to juniors, and well, you yourself, Joel, went on from winning the Winter Games and then going on to play in junior play as well.
Absolutely. It's a good stepping stone. So we see the run back there made to eliminate one of the Alberta stones. However, that's going to leave a little hit for 2 here for Bakos. She's got to throw the out turn, which we haven't seen as much. We haven't seen the out turn hit as much as along this side, so it'll be a little bit different path. They threw the draw here on their corner guard earlier, but not quite with the same weight.
Yes, they did throw some practice rocks out here, but yeah, you're right. This is the first hit that's been thrown out here in this game so far. But an opportunity for a 2 here if she can hit and stick on this back rock.
Absolutely. Bago's quite the distinguished hitter already in her young career. I think to win the trials here in Red Deer that were a couple months ago, she made a run back stick to win it. So the girl not shies away from the hit. You can see that she's pretty on line here, and it looks like she's going to have a 2 in the first end.
Yep, 2 for Alberta.
Great shot there by Julia Bakos. Her patience paid off, not going after that shot early on. Kind of gave her a shot for a deuce later on. So a good shot by Julia Bakos. 2-0 now Alberta after 1 end to play here at the Canada Winter Games in Red Deer, Alberta. Meanwhile, in the boys' game, just across the way, the Northwest Territories have scored 1 in the first end. So the Northwest Territories lead the Alberta boys 1-0 after 1 end to play.
On sheet 9, we have Ontario and Saskatchewan and the boys as well. And Ontario scored in the first end there, so it's 1-0 Ontario over Saskatchewan. Sheet 8 right beside that is Ontario-Saskatchewan girls. And in that one, Saskatchewan scored in the first end, scored a single, so it's 1-0 Saskatchewan over Ontario.
Seems like pretty conservative games across the sheets, Fred. They're only the one big end we see over on sheet 4. Our Nova Scotia girls took a 3 spot right in the first end against BC, but everybody else kind of sticking to that single, so pretty conservative ends here to start at the Canada Winter Games. You sometimes see that, though, early on in games. Teams trying to get their footwork underneath them.
Yeah, people like to, or I mean, teams like to get the feel of the ice a little bit, and they don't like to go too strong. Actually, Alberta girls here were very aggressive in the first end, which you don't see that often in actually in any style of play, but especially in the kids' style of play.
Absolutely. Going to put the pressure on Northwest Territories right from the beginning, trying to go top 4. This is where a little bit of that immaturity, I guess, as a strategy comes. We see Northwest Territories going to take out this rock. Generally, in the higher levels of play, you might see a guard here to try and get your deuce, especially in the even end. However, Northwest Territories trying to keep it a little bit simpler. Going to go with the hit and try and just eliminate the Alberta Stone.
Yeah, and I can't really blame the Territories for this. You know, they struggled in the first couple games, and I think they want to just kind of get their feet under themselves and keep it close for a while. And when you're going in as a strong underdog, I don't think you really want to go out and just go after them. If you can play them up and down for a while and keep the score close, then all of a sudden the later the game gets and you're still in it, that way you're not out of action early.
Absolutely. Alberta lead, Juliana McKenzie looking for the takeout as well. She looks a little bit tight here, and the girls are trying to hold it for her. She's going to catch about a third of the rock. She's going to roll out. Does the trick, maybe just got a little bit inside the line.
That gives the Territories an opportunity here now. They get a chance to throw their corner guard with no risk.
Absolutely, Territories are happy. This one looks like it's sliding a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a little heavier than they wanted. Ended up sliding into the rings, but still all right. It gives them, they're playing on to the sides rather than right down the middle.
So just some strategy for the fans listening at home. If you're not familiar with the sport of curling, generally the team with hammer, or the last stone, will kind of trying to keep play away from the center line. This is just basic strategy, and then the team without hammer will try and keep things towards the middle. Just kind of allows, shrinks the scoring zone, as you might hear sometimes on TV. But just some strategy that if you're looking for, you'll see Alberta here trying to roll towards the middle, and Northwest Territories will try to keep the play away from the middle.
Yes, I think that the whole strategy behind that, Joel, is obviously to keep that center open. It gives you that opportunity. If you get yourself in trouble around the edges, you can actually just draw the forefoot and get out of an end. Whereas if you shrink the scoring zone, pretty soon things get pretty tough, and you may have to draw the button or play runbacks. So
absolutely. Good sweeping there by the younger Gillis, holding it straight and making the hit there for our her sister, actually, Matea Gillis. So good sweeping for her sister. Do you think she gets extra mad at her sister if she doesn't sweep that well?
That never happens with sisters. That's
Dustin asked me that question yesterday. I said my sister's a better sweeper than me, so I never have to worry about that.
That's one thing about our sport of curling, is that it does allow you to play with family when lots of other things like hockey and those types of events, they're more strict on their age groups. You know, you're only a couple years apart. Lots of times you never ever get a chance to play together, whereas in our sport, you can be, doesn't matter how old you are, you can play as a family. I think a lot of us grew up playing with our parents.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing a lot of us love of curling. It's kind of one of those lifelong sports you can play from a young age all the way up until an adult. Until a grandparent, actually. They now have that stick curling, and you can play right until, I guess, you don't want to anymore. So exchanging hits here in the second end. Both Northwest Territories. Matea Gillis made both of hers thanks to her sister's awesome sweeping on the inside. Now the Alberta third. Quinn Prodanik trying to do the same thing. We're just exchanging stones. Alberta leading 2-0 here in the second end. Northwest Territories with hammer here in the second. A lot of Alberta fans out there this morning, filling almost 2 full bleachers worth. Awesome to see.
Yeah, actually a really good crowd for an early morning on a Monday. It's really nice to see the families and friends of the curlers out here.
Absolutely.
As well as some local fans as well.
Another good shot there, that time by the younger Gillis. Makes the hit and stick. Swept by the older Gillis. Helping each other out, I guess that's what it's about.
Yeah, the Alberta third here, Quinn, would like to just hit this right on the nose, stay close to center wherever possible.
A little bit wide on that one, but she will remove the rock, leaving nothing in the house here for Northwest Territories. I got to correct myself earlier, too. I said Dave Nedwin, the dad of Alyssa Nedwin, had 4 Brier championships. He actually has 5 Brier championships. He has 4 World Championship appearances, including 4 World Gold medals. So quite the resume there for Dave. We see him out in the stands. He looks a little cold. I don't know if he's cold or nervous. Might be a little bit different as a fan and a parent.
I'm pretty sure it's definitely, as I can tell you that from watching my kids play, that it's a lot easier to play than it is to watch.
Good draw weight there by the younger Gillis. Pearl throws it in just behind the tee line, however. That won't change the strategy here for Alberta as they're looking just to hit this right on the nose. Stay on the nose and keep exchanging stones here with Northwest Territories. Julia Bakos, quite a young player as herself, only 15 years old. Quite a prominent future ahead of her if she keeps progressing the way she does. Her third, Quinn, being 18 years old, with her lead, Juliana, being 17, and a little Alyssa Nedwin, only at 13 years old, playing at her first Canada Winter Games. Girls working on to keep this straight for Julia. Looks like they've done a good job, and this will stick around in the back 8.
Yeah, rolled back towards the center line again. So Deanna is going to attempt to take this rock out.
This Northwest Territories team curling out at Inuvik. Inuvik, Northwest Territories. A town quite north. For anybody who's looking, Inuvik is about as north as you can get in the Northwest Territories, way up in the northwest corner. However, today's forecast in Inuvik is only -5 Celsius compared to the -30 or whatever we're dealing with here. Quite ironic.
Yes, there definitely has been a cold spell for us, that's for sure.
I don't think Northwest Territories was expecting worse weather as they traveled south.
Yeah, I don't imagine they were. Territories actually rolled off here and just rolled out of the rings here, so now Alberta is going to attempt to draw over in front of that back rock just to make it a little more difficult for the Territories to take this rock out and blank the end.
So Julia threw a draw on the first end, came up a little bit light and inside and racked off on the guard, but this is her second chance here. It's sometimes nice as a skip to throw a few draws early on in the game, get a feel for the ice and kind of how it's working. Find the speed.
Yes, it's actually, as a skip, you really like to get a chance to do that, especially get to draw once inside out and then one outside in. Early on, it gives you kind of a feel of what it's like everywhere.
Exactly.
This looks like it has a very good line. She's going to be...
Lost it a little bit online. I'm not sure if it actually stayed in the rings.
I don't think it did, Joel, but it's hard to tell from our camera angle here.
So a little bit tough line call there, especially with it curling inside out. So what we mean by that is it's starting around the center line and it curls towards the outside of the rings. It's sometimes tough to judge how much it's going to curl that way, and they kind of lost it a little bit late on line. If they're a little bit more on it, they could have swept it, maybe kept it on that back one and maybe done the trick.
Yeah, I think it's one of them double-edged swords, Joel. You sweep, and then if it still pulls, you're heavy, whereas if you think it might stop, and I mean, she's only within a couple inches of making that really good. Obviously, Territories does not think it's in the rings, and they're firing it through.
So unless our eyesight's completely off, we're going to trust the young eyes down on the sheet, and we're going to say that this is a blank end. And with Alyssa Nedoin kicking the rock to the corner, they also agree. So after 2 ends of play here at the Canada Winter Games, we have Alberta 2 with Northwest Territories no score. Northwest Territories will retain the hammer going into the third end. Seems like a lot more rocks in play as we look across the sheets from different ways. Saskatchewan.
Yeah, we got a couple of sheets over there that have finished the second end on sheet 3, New Brunswick and Newfoundland in the boys. In the second are tied 1-1 over there. Nova Scotia BC girls on sheet 4. Nova Scotia's up 3-1. And what else have we got in the second end finished? PEI and Manitoba on sheet 6. Girls tied 1-1. On sheet 7, PEI Manitoba game there. Manitoba scored a 3-ender on the second end and take a 3-1 lead. Back to our game. Alberta is trying to throw the center line guard, it looks like. She's a long ways out there. She's got to get some movement to get back towards the center, but it looks like it's coming back now.
You see good high side sweeping there by the third, Quinn Prodenick. She did a very good job kind of getting on the top side of that rock and kind of directionally sweeping it over, trying to help out her lead, Juliana McKenzie. That directional sweeping, as we touched on her yesterday, kind of helps the rock curl a little bit if they need to. So if the rock is curling too much, they'll get the low side sweeper on it and kind of push against the way it's curling. Compared to if they want it to curl, they'll kind of get on the high side and push the rock and try and scratch the ice in the direction that the rock is curling to kind of help it out a little bit. So we'll see the low side sweeper here for the Northwest Territories, trying to keep it straight, trying to get by.
Looks like they're going to rub the guard, but I think they're going to be okay. They're going to split it off, which is not a horrible shot. She's just short of the rings herself and pushes the Alberta rock out for a corner guard.
Kenzie here with her second, trying to come around that center guard now that the Territories have left up. Edwin really leaning on it here, trying to keep it straight. They've now switched, so this is where you see they were trying to keep it straight. Kind of going back and forth. The light weight might be a little bit light here, Fred.
Yeah, I believe that they're actually just trying to throw a center line guard, Joel.
Did they call that?
I believe that's what she wanted to do. She just wanted to guard the Territories rock and give themselves an opportunity with a center line guard. It's a little dangerous going behind the opposition's rock when they're that tight to the rings.
That's a good point. Once again, a very mature call there by Alberta.
Territories now are having Adriana try and go around that guard. This is a rock where actually it looks like it's over pulling on her right off the start. She must have got to start a little bit, or maybe didn't quite have enough ice. She didn't have a bunch of weight either. It looks like she was a little on the light side. Okay.
So after the territories coming a little bit light there, we have Alyssa Nedwin who's going to try and come around everything here. Both center guards trying to come around everything and make it right to the forefoot. A little bit tight out of her hand, and the girls are working for her, trying to get her around. Don't think she's quite going to get there.
Looks like she's going to touch the guard again. They're having a little trouble getting out there far enough to get around these guards on that center line. There's no question they've got a lot of movement out there.
Absolutely. Got to be nice and positive with that handle. Positive with the handle and almost get to the broom. You got to force yourself, especially on ice like this, you got to force yourself get to the broom. Because anything a little bit tight kind of takes off, and we've seen that a few times this end already.
Looks like the territories here are thinking about trying to get that middle opened up here. There would have been an opportunity here to raise your own rock in here, Joel, but they've elected to see if they can open it up. And
absolutely. So you're going to see a double peel attempt. Matea Gillis swept by the younger sister. Not a bad result, actually. Kind of got a couple guards off, and this might stay in play. Northwest Territories makes a double peel, pushes their own rock back in behind cover. It is in the back 12 foot, which will allow Alberta a chance to come around the center guard. Hopefully to get to the front of the house here. They're looking for a Nedwin to have a little bit better line on this one, and she should be able to plop it right in there. Plop it right in there. I don't know why I said that.
We're not going there. This looks like it's got better line, Joel. This time she's got all the way out there.
So she's had her sweeper switch here. They're now trying to make it curl. Weight looks pretty good. They just got to drag it in there.
Weight's real good, and nice finish at the end, and fully buried. A really good shot.
A really good adjustment there by Nedwin. Great draw weight. Great, well swept, well managed by the skip. That's a great team shot there. However, with the center guard belonging to the Northwest Territories, they will have a chance for a run back here. The run back would allow them to sit two if they could stick it perfectly. Ellis just playing this shot, has a little bit of familiarity with the spot. Her sister trying to hold it straight. She looks like she's a little bit tighter line this time.
Yes, it looks like it's pulling a little on her here. Maybe get lucky. Nope. Maybe get a break here off the side rock, but
got the center guard off though. That's kind of the way to miss it. It's the opposite. There we go. So now we have Quinn for Team Alberta, the third, trying to replace that same center guard. Alberta in a good position here. They're sitting one here in the second end, up 2-0. Northwest Territories with hammer. However, Alberta is sitting one, throwing their center guard here, trying to cover everything up.
Line looks good here, Joel. I would say very good shot. Might be an out-turn opportunity here through the hole, but it looks like the Territories are just going to go up and peel the guard.
Something important for our young viewers at home is sometimes the rock that's going to hurt you the most is the rock that's up top. So sometimes getting that guard off is a really good call. Getting that rock off, sometimes our junior teams tend to chase the shot rock a little bit too much. And then they get themselves in a little bit too trouble late. So getting this guard off is a good call by the Territories. However, kind of our worst case scenario there for Gillis. Unlucky to not get the guard off and also leave the guard in front of the blue Alberta Stone. It's going to give Alberta a chance here and hurt the third Quinn to wrap another one around there. Maybe put a little bit more pressure on Team Northwest Territories.
Yes, this is an opportunity. If they can get this half around, they can block the draw as well as blocking the run back.
Ideally, I think they could come maybe top 12 foot, top 8 foot. Bakos is actually indicating a little bit shorter as a center guard. However, anything kind of in that line, cutting off that draw path would be important. A little bit tighter to the guard. We got to get by here. Oof.
Just rub the guard.
Just rubbing the guard is going to leave a hole here for the Northwest Territories.
Yes, it's going to expose the Alberta Rock and give our Territories team a chance to, if they could get over top of that now, they could actually hit and roll in and sit too.
Big opportunity here. Gillis comes through the hole, avoids the jam. Great shot there by the younger Gillis. Northwest Territories now sitting 2 with hammer here in the third end. Not an easy shot coming through those holes sometimes. You get a little bit wide, a little bit tight. You can sometimes rack on those guards, but a great shot there by Gillis to sit 2 now here.
Very good shot. That puts the pressure back on our Alberta skip here. If she can get through the hole, she has a couple different opportunities though. There's 2 directions to roll, and she could just flat get the double. And
getting through the hole would be her first priority for Julia Bakos to skip for Team Alberta. But if she gets through the hole, kind of a lot of good things that can happen, aren't there, Fred?
yes, there's a couple of directions she can roll and be really good.
A little bit tighter. They're working for her, trying to keep it straight.
This looks like it turns out to be, actually that rock pulled quite a bit. She actually didn't have as much weight as I would have expected her to play through that hole. She kind of just had backboard weight, and then it pulled a little too much on her.
So a little bit of an overcurl there leads to a rollout. Now given the opportunity right back to Northwest Territories, sitting 1 with hammer here in the third end. Pardon me. A little bit of an interesting call here to come around everything a little bit wide.
Yeah, going to the wide side. This is a very tough shot. Going out here on fresh ice. Nothing's been played this far out so far in this game. I think it would have had a tendency to maybe play around with the in-turn around the other way. But if you make this shot, it's still a good shot.
The worry here, too, is if you come a little bit tight and you tap all of a sudden Alberta into the rings a little bit, you go from setting 1 to maybe not setting 1.
Yeah, it could be dangerous, but it's like they always say in curling, there's never a bad shot if you make it.
Diana Bain, skip for Northwest Territories, trying to sit 2 here against Alberta. Girls are working on it for her, trying to keep it straight. Looks like she has pretty good line if they can keep it moving.
It's a really good line if she can get there.
Great shot here by Bain.
Excellent shot.
Going to put a lot of pressure there on Team Alberta. Now sitting 2, buried with hammer here in the third end. Second time I've done that this end.
Second time in the third end. Yeah.
Second. Got to wake up.
So it looks like Alberta has just decided they're going to draw through with this in turn, and there is no question she can get shot rock here and still be behind the guards. So this is a big shot in this end.
Few ways Julia can make this 2 to even cut them down. If she comes back to that back one, the most she's going to give up is 2. A little bit light, and if she's buried, she might only give up 2 as well. So there are a few ways Bakos can make this. However, a big shot early in this game. Around that 15-second mark is kind of what we've seen hog to hog. 14.75 or 15 seconds should be good for draw weight. This is hanging a little bit on them, and they got to get past the guard. A little bit of a rub, and that will not do it for Bakos.
Rub and a rub, so it looks like we're going to have a draw for 3 for the Territories, and she can actually play exactly the same shot she just played with the first one. So aggressive call, Joel, going out to the edge, which we thought was a very tough shot, and she made it easy.
Absolutely. Might as well make it again. So Tiana Bain, after making her first draw, looking to capitalize on the Alberta miss. Drawn in there for the 3rd point would give them the lead after 3 ends. A little bit wider path, it seems, Fred.
She's got a little wider path. As long as she's got enough weight to get there, she's still going to be okay. Doesn't seem like it's pulling, but
14.5, she should be good weight.
Sometimes that's a good sign.
14.5 way out there. Great 2 shots by Tiana Bain.
Great shot. So that puts Territories up 3-2 on Alberta. 2 excellent shots from our young skip from Nunavik.
So Alberta now trailing 3-2 to the Northwest Territories here at the Canada Winter Games out of Red Deer, Alberta. After 3 ends of play, giving you a quick update across the sheets. Beside us, the boys, Northwest Territories and Alberta, just finishing up their 3rd end. Seems like Northwest Territories are facing a couple Alberta stones as they go for their last shot here. The score there, 1-1 after 2 ends of play. Across the sheets too, we got our Ontario boys leading Saskatchewan 2-0. And just a quick update here, Northwest Territories boys will give up a steal of, maybe just 1. That's a great shot to cut them down.
It looked like it. I can't tell. It's hard to see from our angle. They're over there a little further than we can check for sure, but they are looking at it. There's 1 for sure for Alberta, and there's possibility of a 2nd one.
Fantastic shot either way there by the Northwest Territories men. Skip cutting the Alberta to at least a steal of 1 or maybe 2, but he was facing 4 on his last shot and made it quite the draw there. Our game just starting back up. Adriana Hendrick starting things off. Looking to come right into the top 4 now that they've taken advantage on the scoreboard. And indeed it was just a steal of 1 for Alberta. So the Alberta men now lead 2-1 over the Northwest Territories after 3 ends of play. Adriana gets her rock in the rings. Bakos not looking to get too aggressive here. Going to remove the Northwest Territories stone. Good shot there by Juliana. McKenzie rolls to the outside. Alberta now sitting 1 here in the 4th end. I don't know if she's getting a little hesitant now after how that last end went, but kind of changing strategy a little bit, going a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, she's playing a little more conservative in this end, but sometimes if you play that first end, you get a hit and roll out. You get to throw your corner again with no risk. And it looks like maybe that's exactly what's going to happen. Adriana kind of got outside there and just set it back, and that's one thing about this ice here, Joel. It's got lots of pull, but if you set them back or throw a little extra weight, they don't move.
So Hendrick with the miss there. Going to allow Alberta to kind of set things up the way they want to. Juliana McKenzie will now try and throw a corner guard up on that one in the rings already. This one over curling a little bit.
Not too bad. It's still pretty good. Got a good chunk of the rock covered. And
going to put the pressure on the Northwest Territories just because they can now have to be a little bit careful with taking that one out. Because of our free guard zone, the 5 rock rule here in effect, we can only remove a rock in the free guard zone until after the 5th stone is delivered. So if this rock were to hit the guard and take it out of play, it would be replaced.
Tiana looks like she's called this just to be throwing back ringish type weight here, to just come down with enough weight just to push it out of the rings. Got lots of room on the guard.
Trying the high side sweeping here. Actually getting it to curl quite a bit.
Actually, it looks like they got it to pull a little too much. Pushed it back and left it a short rock.
Not sure if that thing maybe have picked up something or...
Yeah, it took a big jump there just outside the hog line. It seemed like it was, line was really good, and then all of a sudden it kind of just jumped, like it maybe went over a footprint or some sort of impurity.
So Nedowin's turn here now. Trying to put the pressure right on Northwest Territories. If they come around here and kind of suck it one halfway around, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Northwest Territories second. Nedowin looks like she's a little bit light here, and the girls are going to try and leave it a little bit higher as a corner guard.
Yeah, didn't quite get up here as far as they wanted. I think they were looking to try and get it a little bit tighter than that.
However, Alberta's still sitting one here.
They're sitting one, and they got almost like a triple guard on it, Joel. So it looks like the Territories have decided that they're not going to mess around with it. They're just going to go up here and try and peel up some of these guards off.
Matea Gillis here, the second for Northwest Territories. Make one guard go away, but she sticks the second one, still in front of it. Leaves the Alberta Stone sitting dead buried here. Bakos now trying to take advantage. If she could take advantage and go halfway around, that would put a lot of pressure on the Northwest Territories. It's always nice to throw the same rock 2 times in a row. Nedowin will probably be really close with this one.
Yeah, so Alicia would like to come around here, Joel, and just sit top 8 if she could. Stay in front of the tee line. This one looks like it's got a really good line. If she can get it up here to the top of the 8-foot.
Really good draw here coming by Nedowin. If they can keep dragging this, girls are working on it for her. Gets half buried, and that's kind of does the trick. That's exactly what you want. Good bounce back there by Nedowin. Might have learned her ability to draw from her dad.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He looks like he's taken a picture of it, so he maybe can remember how to do it himself.
Northwest Territories now trying to hit as much as they can see. If they can get by tight and hit as much as they can see, they might actually make a double. Working on it for the younger Gillis here. Good sweeping by her sister. Just missed the double.
Really good try there. I'm not sure that was even there, Joel. I mean, she got by about as close as you could go. I mean, you might have got a quarter of an inch thicker, which might have got the double, but to play it that is pretty risky to play that tight to the guard. Very good attempt. Thrown very well. So Quinn's going to try and go back in there as well. It's the same place that Alicia was.
A little bit more buried, I think, is what they're looking for here, Fred.
Yeah, if they could get it back another couple of feet, they would have had it completely buried, I think, the way that's pulling in there. This has got a good line again.
Good communication by our sweepers. We touched on it yesterday, but the more communication, the better. Often really important at this age. Gives the skip the most information they can.
Yes.
Really good looking shot here by Quinn.
Very good. This one's even in there further than the first one was. Just getting a hand. The crowd seems to be very appreciative of good shots.
Really pro Alberta crowd here today. The Alberta 2 teams playing right up next to the bleachers. It's a very good atmosphere that they have out there today. That atmosphere must be different for a lot of these kids that haven't played at the national level before. All of a sudden having your mom and your parents, your mom and your dad and your grandparents and everybody else so close to you, cheering on every shot. It's a total different atmosphere, and for these kids just to be embracing it and doing the best they can, that's what we like to see.
It looks like we're
a little bit tighter here.
We're gonna just roll into a center line guard, not horrible. Yeah, I remember, Joel, the first time I ever played in a provincial a long, long time ago, and they had bleachers out on the ice like this on that sheet right beside you, and man, that was different when you could hear everybody's every word when you were standing on the ice. And it actually, it was tough for me as an adult, and I can't imagine for the kids, just to keep me concentration level when there's so much going on all the way around you. It's noise you've never heard before when you are on the ice.
Exactly, and that's when it gets back to coaching. A good coach will prepare these girls for that. Maybe doing a few practices where you mimic a little bit more noise. You got to prepare the girls for everything that they're going to hear here at the Canada Winter Games. Fans cheering during your backswing because they're cheering for different sheets. Everything that you're going to see is a little bit different when you get to the stage like this. Quinn looks like she's got another good draw here. Important to not slip behind the T line. That'll allow Northwest Territories maybe an out, but a good shot there by Quinn.
Very good shot coming around. So Alberta lies 3. Territories have a choice here now of either to draw to it, or there's a possibility of a double now on this side rocks. If she could make that double, get herself back in the, try not to give up a big end.
Looks like she's lining up the double. The double might also get the roll as well, so it's not a bad call here. Great bounce back end here by Alberta, though. After giving up the 3 last end, for them to come right back out and put the pressure on Northwest Territories is going to get them right back in this game. So they're looking to hit about 3/4 of this top stone. 3/4, maybe a little bit more. We'll make the double on the 2 blues, and it might even roll over in front, somewhere into the top 8 foot. Would be a really good result here for Northwest Territories. Girls are working on it early, but she looks close.
It's really getting tight to that yellow guard.
Oh, and as Russ would say, she stuffed it.
Yes, that was a tough break. Really good shot. Just an inch from making it perfect. Now Alberta really has an opportunity here. If Julia can actually duplicate the shot that was just made by Quinn, now will be big trouble for Northwest Territories.
Utilizing the same path that they just did with Quinn's, often a really good call. Now that the hole is made by yellow rocks, though, it makes it a little bit more challenging. You got to make sure you don't rack on either of those. However, using the same path as Quinn, they should be familiar with the spot, familiar with the speed. The sweepers should know Communication will be key, though, to get this in a good spot. Get a time on this one for you so you can see what our ice is running today. Looking for a time around that 15.75. Sweepers are indicating early that it is heavy.
Yeah, they're indicating they got a lot of weight. We'll see what it's doing here. And all of a sudden, I think they're trying to sweep for a little in-off here because they're...
We got 13 seconds, 13 and a half seconds, so it is heavy. Good communication by the sweepers should end up in a good result.
Oh, that was an excellent adjustment by the third, and mainly, like you said, Joel, because of that communication from that front end, letting them know that they were heavy early. She gets the rub off the yellow on the side and rolls right on top of her rock.
That is great communication the whole way through. A good team shot, especially when Julia comes out a little bit heavy. For the sweepers to indicate that right away, the third to pick up on it, and the third to make the right decision on the Plan B call. Fantastic, and has put a lot of pressure here on the Northwest Territories.
Yeah, and the bad part here is that the Territories don't really have a very good out here to get themselves back into play.
Can you zoom in on the house so they actually see what we're seeing? So the Northwest Territories here facing 3. Alberta with 2 buried. With the 1 Alberta Stone and sitting third shot over on the side, 8 foot. Northwest Territories with a tough decision here. Basically all I'm seeing here, Fred, is if they might have a freeze on one of those to kind of cut them down to 2, or maybe you eliminate the other blue stone.
Yeah, this is a really tough decision here. Even if you make the freeze really good, they're still going to have a draw for 3, Joel. So I'm not sure, she might not be better off to hit the edge blue, and she is 1 up.
The run back is also there. The run back double would be there. Might give you the best result. However, it is also the most risk, because if you miss that run back, you're giving up a 4.
Yes, there is a possibility of that. It looks like that's what she's leaning to right now.
Might see our first time out of the day. There's a few different options, especially throwing this turn on the run back. There it is, our first time out of the day.
There's the timeout, so the coach is going to come out and talk to him.
So the coach for the Northwest Territories girls will come out here. That is Nick Saturnino. He'll come out and talk to the girls, maybe give them a good option here. Looks like he's lining up maybe a run back. It's kind of the only option that he's seeing. There's a few options with that one. If you hit the run back a little bit on the outside, you might actually eliminate the blue stone that you were looking at anyways. And obviously, if you do hit it perfectly, you might eliminate both the blue stones that are buried, which will leave Northwest Territories maybe even sitting one at the end of this shot. Alberta, once again, a really good bounce back end here after giving up the 3.
Yes, they got it actually. That was a really good break, and actually very good communication with the front end, letting the third know early so that they knew enough to play the in off the edge there. And let's face it, Joel, that's a good fortune. When things are going for you, sometimes those work, and sometimes they don't. We've both been on the other side of that.
Absolutely.
So while we're waiting here, we can do some updating here across the sheets. It looks like Territories in Alberta are in a battle over there. The Territories are looking at trying to get themselves a way out as well. They're facing 2 against them, but they do have last rock here in the 4th end. They're trailing 2-1. Ontario boys playing Saskatchewan boys have been stealing their way along here. They got one in the first end, stole 2, stole in the second end, stole in the third. They're up 3-0. Saskatchewan and Ontario in the girls' side over there it's 4-2, but they're finished the 4th end. I didn't see what the actual score was. They're just going down to mark it up now.
Back to our sheet here. Looks like they've decided maybe play a hit. I don't think they're playing the run back, so they might be playing some kind of hit as much as you can see, maybe make a double. Very difficult shot here by the skip for the Northwest Territories, Tiana Bain. She's facing 3 Alberta Stones. Her last rock here coming up. Once again, this is going to be a shot that's going to be very weight sensitive. If a little bit heavy, it could run straight. But they got to get by that guard.
Yeah, they got to get by the guard really tight if they're going around it.
See if they're playing the tight hit or if they're playing indeed the run back. I believe they're playing the hit though, Fred. See on the release a little bit outside. They're sweeping it though. They got to get by tight. It'll tick the blue stone. And it's still going to be 3 Alberta sitting here. It was a really tough shot there. Unfortunately, Alberta is still going to be sitting 3, and they'll be drawing for their 4th point here in the 4th end. A tough call there, Fred, because you had to get by the guard quite tight to eliminate even 1 stone there.
Yes, and Junia made a really good attempt at it, and actually she had a little more room on the guard than they thought they did. The rock just didn't finish for her, and she did get on to the first rock, but just couldn't get it out of the rings. So Alberta drawing for to see if they can get 4.
So Baco's hopefully learning from her last one. Got to have a little bit better weight here. She was close to 13.5 seconds on her last. 14 seconds is kind of what they're looking for, 14.5. It's a little bit better time.
It looked like the front end was waving on this one. No, she looks like she's got
this one's 14.5 seconds. She should be perfect. Well judged by the sweepers. She'll end up right on the tee line. That perfect 14.5 second stone. Great draw by Julia. 4 points for Alberta, and now a 6-3 lead after 4 ends of play. Great bounce back in for Alberta.
Over on the sheet beside us in the Alberta Territories game, Territories are trailing in that one 4-1. I was just watching over there, Joel. Territory skip, or third, made an excellent shot. He angled a rock in, got it to the 4-foot, but the Alberta skip made another angle back the other direction, and it didn't give the Territories much of a chance. They were playing like a triple angle raise to try and get him cut down, but they ended up stealing 2.
So across the sheets here, on the far side on sheet A, we got New Brunswick, playing Newfoundland, and the New Brunswick women are leading so far 6-4 after 4 ends of play. On sheet 3, the New Brunswick men are taking on the Newfoundland men, with the Newfoundland men leading 3-2 after 4 ends of play. Nova Scotia women are giving it to BC pretty good this morning. Nova Scotia women leading BC 7-1 after 4 ends of play. On sheet 5, Nova Scotia men leading 3-2 over BC. On sheet 6, Manitoba females looking to go to 3-0 today, now up 4-1 against PEI. The Manitoba men, after their bounce back game yesterday, leading PEI at the break 5-2. On sheet 8, we have the Saskatchewan and Ontario. The girls' game is currently 4-4 at the break. And the Ontario men and the Saskatchewan men are right beside them with, they're just updating the score now. Ontario just stole another one, so they now lead 4-0 after 4 ends of play. Our featured sheet, you've just seen Alberta took home 4 in the 4th end, now leading 6-3 after 4 ends of play. And like Fred just updated, on sheet J, Alberta men now leading 4-1 over the Northwest Territories. It's been great action here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games from Red Deer, Alberta. We have amazing fans here from across the country, dressed up in all their different gear. We still have our Nova Scotia people wearing their awesome fishing hats, their yellow hats. We got flags flying everywhere. Fans supporting from different places all across the country. It's awesome to see. We have officials, and we got to give a big shout out to all our amazing volunteers. Over 5,000 volunteers here that are helping organize the Canada Winter Games here in Red Deer. We couldn't do it without them. So thank you to all our amazing volunteers. Our camera people, our camera crew, everybody, thank you so much. Also our officials out on the ice, led by Brenda Rogers. She's our amazing official. And her crew, thank you so much to them. Everybody involved, thank you so much for making this Canada Winter Games a success. This is something that the kids will remember for the rest of their lives. We'll be back after the fourth end break here at the Canada Winter Games 2019 from Red Deer, Alberta. We're back here in the fifth end. Fred Armstrong and Joel Peterman here back in the booth. Action starting here with Juliana McKenzie of Team Alberta throwing up, which was, I think, was intended for the top 4 foot. Ending going to be in the top 8, top 12 foot.
I think it's going to be. So after 4 ends of play, Joel, across the sheets, Ontario steals another one. Actually, the Saskatchewan Skip made an incredible angle raise there with his last shot to cut them down to 1. He was looking at 4 or 5 there. On sheet 7, it's PEI Manitoba. We've got the boys over there. Manitoba is up 5-2. On the girls' sheet, Ontario, Saskatchewan next to them. Ontario, Saskatchewan, and that's the ladies' sheet. They're tied at 4. Way over on the other side, we can see over there on the far sheet. What do we got over there, Joel's at? Manitoba, Newfoundland way over there on the far
New
side.
Brunswick and Newfoundland, and I believe
Yep.
the New Brunswick ladies are leading 6-4, and the Newfoundland men are leading 3-2.
Yeah, on our Nova Scotia sheet, it appears that Nova Scotia BC girls, Nova Scotia on top there. I can't see what they scored in the second end. It looks like
I believe it's 7-1 there.
I believe it's 7-1, yes. In the boys' game, it's 3-2 Nova Scotia BC. On sheet 6, PEI girls are down to Manitoba 4-1.
Back in our action here, Northwest Territories being a little bit more aggressive. Now instead of hitting that rock at the top 12, they are going to throw the corner guard. May lead to a little bit more offense. Leaving the Alberta Stone there will allow Julia Bakos here to tap it back. Going to try and tap it back to about the top 4. She's deciding between that or just coming around it all together.
Yeah, sometimes they want to go right around these, but the tap back is an option, all right.
So as I said earlier, thank you so much to all our amazing volunteers. I forgot to mention the amazing volunteers at the Results Center. They do such hard work keeping everything organized and keeping everything going, so thank you so much to them as well. There's so many people that make this Canada Games run, so we thank you so much for all your hard work.
Yes, it takes a lot of volunteers, Joel, to put on an event like this. And our Red Deer community has been famous for having a good volunteer base.
Alberta now sitting one with the center guard up. Never a bad thing. Northwest Territories are going to ignore both of those stones and kind of come around this rock that they just threw the corner guard. Matea Gillis trying to come around here. Looks a little bit tight out of her hand.
I think she's mostly light, Joel. It just didn't have a chance to get there. She was a little bit tight, but quite a bit short of the rings.
Alberta still sitting the 1, top of the 12. Julie Bakos now considering the double peel of the 2 yellow stones. The only danger with this one is if you don't hit it quite right, the yellow could spin in.
Yes, it could spin back towards the rings. I think at this stage, though, with the 3-point lead, their concern is just to make sure they get the corners off.
Oof, just missed jamming that into the rocks that they had thrown. Alyssa Nettowin maybe a little bit tight on the release. However, sometimes it's not how you throw it. Still got the result that they wanted.
Exactly. She still eliminated the guard. She did roll over a little bit to the edge herself, but it's really almost far enough over there that it's out of play.
Northwest Territories once again going to ignore the rocks on the top 12. Going to go around everything here. Looks like a little bit better line, a little bit better weight. Sliding a little bit on them here. Slides a little bit too far, and I believe it's tough for you guys to see from your angle. However,
looks like Alberta's shot, but it's still not that bad of a rock. It's a rock in play, and anytime you can get rocks in play, that's the object here.
Absolutely. Alberta's still sitting 1. Alberta third now. Quinn Prodanik trying to come around, or just throwing the center guard, actually.
I think they were trying to go around Joel. I think they just did the same communication, let them know early that they were had a long ways to go. They didn't have enough weight to get there.
Which will make the come around here for Northwest Territories a little bit more challenging now that that center guard's in the way. It'll be important to make sure that the rock curls off that one in the center before they sweep it to curl. So hanging a little bit on them, like I said, they got to avoid that rock on the center line at first. And unfortunately racking into it.
Just touched it. It was. Pulls another couple inches, she would have had a good one. She'd have been by there easily.
Absolutely. Leaving the opportunity here for Team Alberta. Team Alberta now trying to bury a second one around. Quinn just throwing the last one, coming a little bit light. She should be close on this one. Sweepers are definitely keeping an eye on this one. This one needs to curl a little bit wider, which is never a bad thing, especially on ice that swings the way this is. Sweepers aren't touching it as it comes in, sliding a little bit deep. It's going to end up at about the back 8 foot here. Alberta sitting 2.
Yeah, it stopped just biting the back of the 4 foot, so Territories I think will draw here, but they have to make a decision. Starting to get late to try and open the front up now.
The Alberta Rock slipping to the back 4 foot will allow a little bit more scoring zone for Northwest Territories. If they can get to the top 4 foot dead buried, that's kind of what they're looking for. However, that's also playing into Alberta a little bit because that'll shrink the scoring zone for Northwest Territories. The younger Gillis here, Pearl Gillis. Her line looks good as long as the weight can get there. Girls are trying to help her out. A little bit light. It's going to end up a little bit short. You might not be able to see that on your camera again, but the yellow is a couple inches short.
It's not just short of the rings, but they do have an opportunity to raise it up at some point down the... Seem to be talking there. I'm thinking maybe somebody might have touched that rock. I've seen the girls talking back and forth.
Yeah, touch the rock maybe right at the end there. However, very good sportsmanship by Team Alberta, just acknowledging that it probably didn't make a difference.
Yeah, well, plus they've changed the rules a little bit in that broomed rock thing now. Used to be it was kind of a, if you touched it, it came off. Now it's if you broom a rock between the hog lines, it is to come off. But if after the hog line, it's actually supposed to be put back nearest to where you think it would have ended up. Which a lot of people didn't understand that they've changed that rule. I mean, I think it's a good rule. I mean, a lot of times people are sweeping right down to that last second, and after they're lifting their broom up and they touch a rock and it doesn't really have any effect, it's a shame just to dispose of it.
So Julia Bakos here trying to come around. This could put a lot of pressure on Northwest Territories. The sweepers are indicating that it was a little bit heavy. Setting up a pocket here might not be the best situation for Alberta. Slipping to the back of the 4 foot now allows kind of that pocket that we see created.
Yes, it'll give the Territories an opportunity to get down there, but then the problem, of course, is they would like to go down and just sit top 4 if they could themselves, because if you go back to those rocks, then Alberta can come right back on top of you again.
Big shot here by Northwest Territories. Important to even sit shot rock, especially late in the end. Northwest Territories skipped Tiana Bain, looking to make a good one here and put a little bit more pressure on Alberta. Tiana seen a similar spot here a couple ends ago when she drew for her 3, so she might be familiar with a little bit of the speed.
Yes, this turn's been good for her out here. Team looks like they're going hard here. I don't know if she's got it there or not.
She will end up a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
This will give the advantage to Alberta. Sitting 3 here in the 5th end, leading by the score of 6-3. Bakos could get around here again, end up somewhere around the top 8 foot, could put a lot of pressure here on Northwest Territories.
Yes, Julia would like to get around this rock if she could, stop up there full 8 or even bite the top of the 4 would really shrink the scoring. Then Territories would only have the opportunity to go around and tap their yellow in.
Bakos, after just throwing this and being a little bit heavy, should be able to make the adjustment here. Important to get right out to the broom, especially when we got the ice here in Red Deer curling quite a bit. The girls seem to be on and off if they like this one, but it does seem to be sliding a little bit different path.
I think she's all right, Joel. I mean, if she can come around here and just stop top. Oh, it went in a little deep. I guess there is an opportunity to get over top of it to make the draw there.
So it's kind of two options as you see on the screen. Northwest Territories can play the same shot, kind of come follow them in, and maybe get to the inside of it for one. They also have the tap on the outside yellow.
Yeah, I think this one, Alberta missed the guard by a large amount there. I would say probably missed it by a foot. So, I mean, I think there is an opportunity here. If she comes down with draw weight and gets fairly close to the guard, she should be able to get in there for her single.
Absolutely, about a big shot here in the fifth end. A miss by Northwest Territories could prove crucial in this game, especially with Alberta already leading by a score of 6-3. Alberta happy with the way they played this end, sitting 4. Northwest Territories last stone coming here in this fifth end.
Yes, if the Territories can get through here and score their single, it'd be a big victory for them as far as the end goes, because they've been in trouble right from the start of this end on.
They're now talking. They might switch their strategy up a little bit. They have seen this tap from this side now that the skip has come down. I almost like this one a little bit better, Fred, just because there's a little bit more options with it. You can hit it thin, you can hit it thick.
Yeah, there's only one really bad spot to hit it, and that's right through that hole at the back of the 4 foot. As long as she can get it on one of them rocks at the back, she should be fine.
Absolutely.
I think they need to sweep here. We got things look like they're over pulling on her a little bit.
A little bit tight. Sweepers are trying to help her out, trying to keep it straight. It's going to hit it at a good angle. Oh, that was
just rolled an inch too far. Very good attempt there.
Like we said, there's a few good options that could come out of that one, and that was one of them. However, it's still going to be a steal of 2. Alberta now leading 8-3 after 5 ends of play. Kind of taking advantage of this game, and a few misses by the Northwest Territories. However, a great shot to kind of minimize the damage there. They were looking at 4 going to her last stone. Alberta now 8-3 lead after 5 ends of play.
Yes, that was a tough one. We just had to be able to hold that 1 inch more, and she would have been absolutely perfect. But that's the way our game goes if you're on the wrong side of the inch. Some updates over here on sheet 11. The Alberta boys and the Northwest Territories boys. Territories scored 1 in the 5th end, and now they trail 4-2. In our Saskatchewan-Ontario game, Saskatchewan has come back and scored a deuce now in the 5th end, and they trail in that one 4-2. On the girls' side, right next to them on sheet 8, Saskatchewan is leading in that one 5-4. Saskatchewan just got a point in the 5th end there. In the Manitoba PEI, in the boys' game next door on sheet 7, Manitoba is up 6-2. We have almost a similar score on the girls' side, right beside that PEI and Manitoba. Manitoba there is up 5-1.
Finishing on the other sheets, we got BC. The men, BC men are currently leading Nova Scotia 4-3. The Nova Scotia women, however, are taking it to BC a little bit, now leading 7-3 with Hammer playing in the 6th end. Beside them, in our last 2 sheets, we got the Newfoundland boys, who are currently leading 6-2 over New Brunswick. And on our last sheet, on the far side, on sheet A, the Newfoundland boys have taken 2 to take the lead, or to tie it up, I believe.
Yeah, it's the tie over there.
To tie it up at 6-6. So a great game between Newfoundland and New Brunswick.
Yes, they're having a really good game over there.
Back to our game here. Bakos with the big lead. Now up 8-3 has decided to throw our first rock in the rings. Northwest Territories has responded with a corner guard a little bit high and a little farther over than they probably wanted, which will allow maybe not as many come arounds as they could, just being a little bit too far over.
Yes, she got out there just a little further. Well, most of the problem was she was just a little bit light. If she could have had a little more weight, I think it wouldn't have pulled so far or curled so much out there towards the edge.
The Alberta girls playing here, a little tap. Juliana McKenzie with a good one on her first, coming into the top 12, top 8. A little bit lighter on this one. Kind of rest right up next to that one. Now sitting 2 at the top 12. Northwest Territories deciding to ignore those stones and are going to throw another corner guard here. Maybe make a little bit better one than they did last time.
Yeah, well, if she can put a guard behind this one, we see this quite often on very swingy ice where they want a double corner, where just like we do when we're playing in the tied up coming home situation where we want a long guard and a short one just so that they can't get them both off with one shot.
A little bit better weight here, and like you said, Fred, I think the first one might have just been light because this is a much better line on this one.
Yeah, this one's a little better line. They would have liked to have got it up there another 3 or 4 feet, but it's not too bad.
Alberta sitting 2 here without Hammer, playing in the 6th end. Alyssa Nedwin, the 13-year-old second from Team Alberta. Attempting to come around here. Her leads 2 rocks at the top of the 8-foot here, top of the 12. This one looks like it's sliding a little bit on them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she was trying to go around it or if she was actually trying to tap it. She's a little bit heavy, gonna slip right to the very back of the rings.
Alberta sitting 3. Alyssa Nedwin, like Fred said, a little bit heavy on that one. However, they are still sitting 3 without Hammer here in the 6th.
So Matea is trying to go around the corner guard here. I think, Joel, she'd just like to be able to be just full 8 around the corner. Looks like she's got good line.
Real good shot looking like here. Oh, it might have grabbed up on them because it is changing handles. And it has stayed short.
It was almost like that went over a footprint, or I'm not sure what that happened there. Because they weren't concerned about it. They weren't even really sweeping at the start, and then it kind of just all of a sudden grabbed and come down on weight.
So now Bakos with her 5-point lead. It's going to try and eliminate some guards here now. Asking her second, Alyssa Nedwin, to peel the high corner guard. Girls are on this early, trying to keep it straight, but she has done just that. Perfect shot there by Nedwin.
Very good shot. Still leaves the opportunity, though, for the Territories to get behind here. They've got a nice tight guard. Matea's trying to go around their own rock. This one is sometimes what happens when that rock picks on you like that, and then so you try to throw a little more and then you throw too much. I think that's exactly what's happened to Matea here. I don't think she got enough communication from her team that her first rock really wasn't that bad on weight, and then when it went over something, it picked and just stopped. So consequently, she ends up throwing a little bit more, and it's too much more.
Comes back to that communication piece that we've touched on today. Sweepers need to be communicating with the skip, and especially with the person throwing the draw. Quinn here now for Team Alberta. Julia has asked her to make the peel, trying to make some more guards go away. Maybe a little bit wider.
Just touched it, didn't move it over very far. It's a good break for the territories now. They get a chance to go back in there again.
A little bit too much weight, maybe a little bit wide. Didn't quite get the guard off. She actually jammed right on her own at the back 12 foot, which was kind of fortunate. Well, depending how you look at it, left something back there.
Yes, left a rock at the back, and it appears that they have decided they're going to try and go around the guards that they're not the guards, the 12-foot rocks that Alberta has in the rings here, and see if they can force the issue that way. It looks like it's getting tight to the guard.
Girls working on it for her. Hendricks leaning on her broom, trying to keep it straight. The weight is also dying a little bit. She is going to come up light.
Yeah.
Alberta's still sitting 3, it looks like. They have 2 at the top of the house, 1 at the back. Bakos will try and eliminate the yellow Northwest Territories stone.
Yes, it looks like Julia has decided that she doesn't want any enemy rocks around whatsoever. She's hitting everything she can.
Good communication there, but once again by the lead, Juliana McKenzie, indicating that this weight was a little bit more weight than I think that Bakos was expecting. Makes the takeout and kind of rolls uphill, kind of gears up and away, kind of leaves a corner guard for Northwest Territories.
Yeah, it did leave the corner there, but it also eliminated the rock. And right now, with this big lead, when you're up that many, every time you can eliminate an opposition rock, you want to go ahead and do it. So territories here look like they're trying to go around the corner.
Pearl Gillis with her second draw. Oh, they're now pulling that rock.
She must have touched it with her broom when she was sweeping up there. That's a tough break.
That one actually looked pretty good, didn't it, Fred, coming in?
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be okay, but it appears she must have touched it. One of the girls must have broomed it with their rock because they kicked it off immediately.
So when we're saying burned rock there or a broomed rock, when the girls are sweeping, if they end up contacting the stone, as Fred indicated earlier, if it is between one of the 2 hog lines, that rock generally comes off right away. So one of the girls might have unintentionally touched that stone, which led to its removal. Kind of an advantage back to Alberta now. Sitting 2 here in the 6th end, leading by a score of 8-3.
Yes, I think Bakos has decided on she can't eliminate them all, so she's just going to go in there herself and see if she can close down that scoring area.
The important thing here would be to stay in front of the tee line. Slipping behind the tee line would give Northwest Territories a shot. So the sweeper's indicating that this one is heavy. They're trying to chip off their own on the top of the 12-foot.
Looks like this time they're not going to get away with it. They're going to be a little heavy.
So Bakos' rock slides through the rings. Not exactly what she was looking for.
Yes, but it was a good news, bad news thing. She was heavy, but the good news is she went right through the ring. She didn't end up sitting at the back and giving Northwest Territories something to draw to.
Absolutely.
So here's an opportunity for Deanna Bain. She's got an opportunity to draw behind this corner and see if she can't get something going for herself.
So Tiana's personal role model is Rachel Holman, who yesterday competed in the Scott Tournament of Hearts final. And she's actually told us that her parents signed her up for half ice curling when she was little, and she's been curling ever since. Tiana here with a good looking draw, it looks like, if they can hold this straight and keep dragging it.
Yeah, if they can get this to the 8-foot, it'd be a really good shot. Just coming around the guard.
Girls working on it for her, keep trying to drag it. Looks like it'll end up just a little bit short. Alberta's still sitting 1. However, a very good attempt there by Tiana Bain.
Yes, she's only, if she could have traveled that rock, just get that rock to move another couple of feet, she would have really had an excellent shot. But it's okay the way it is.
So now Bakos, with her last rock here in the 6th end, is going to try and eliminate that Northwest Territory stone. If she could hit that and roll a little bit towards the center line, it would be a tough score for Northwest Territories. They would have to come around everything and maybe hit the side of the 8-footer, side of the 4-foot. A little bit different path than they're used to. So a big shot here by Bakos. Girls working on it, trying to keep it started. Oh, just sneaks by, and a good shot there by Bakos.
Really good shot.
Good sweeping there by Mackenzie and Nedwin. Kept her skips rock nice and straight. Eliminated the Northwest Territories zone, and now Alberta sitting 3 without hammer. Northwest Territories are forced to their 1 here in the 6th end.
Yeah, Tiana now has decided it looks like to hit the center line rock there, Joel. There really was that's a tough draw to go out to the edge and come back around that one. I don't think she has much choice. I don't think there's a danger if she jams on the back one, she'll still be shot rock at the top.
So Tiana Bain here, looking to eliminate the Alberta Stone, stay right on the nose. She'll get her 1. They're on it early, trying to keep it straight. Now off it. It will curl up here in this spot, though, so this looks like a very good shot by Bain. It looks like she'll get her single point. Great shot by Tiana Bain from the Northwest Territories.
Very good shot.
The score now 8-4 for Team Alberta after 6 end of play. Alberta will have hammer in the 7th, probably trying to keep things a little bit simple. However, Alberta's doing what they can to keep control of this game.
So updating us, Joel, on the other sheets, right beside us, Alberta Northwest Territories men's game. Alberta scored 1, making it 5-2 after 6 there. So we're playing the 7th end, and the Territories have the hammer. On sheet 9, Ontario and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan played a really good end there, and Ontario had to draw for a single point against 2 with his last one. Skip made a good shot there, and he is now up, or Ontario is now up 5-2.
Beside them, we have Saskatchewan versus Ontario, the ladies. So that game is in the 7th end. After a blank in the 6th, Saskatchewan still leads Ontario 5-4. The men, Manitoba and PEI, after 6 ends of play, Manitoba in complete control, leading 7-2 over Team PEI. The Manitoba women are also in control over PEI, leading 7-1 on their game. The Nova Scotia ladies, their game is now complete. Finishing in 6 ends, they beat Team BC by a score of 9-3. However, on the boys' side of things, BC is leading Nova Scotia. The 6th end just finished, and we're not sure exactly what the score. However, BC was leading 4-3 after 5 ends of play. Newfoundland, New Brunswick, on the boys' side of things, Team Newfoundland is leading 6-3 with hammer playing in the 7th end. And on the far side of things, our New Brunswick ladies got 1 in the 6th, now leading the Newfoundland ladies 7-6 after 6 ends of play.
Back on our sheet, Joel, the Territories threw up the center line guard, and Alberta has gone behind it.
So an aggressive call there by Bakos, especially with the 4-point lead. However, Mackenzie has been doing a fantastic job today with her draw weight, putting the pressure on Northwest Territories right from the beginning.
And the Territories here now, I think they're going to have no choice but to throw up some draws and see what happens. It's kind of, we've all been in this position, and you kind of throw caution to the wind and try and get some rocks in play and see if you can score or steal here.
Northwest Territories lead. Adriana Hendrick with a fantastic freeze there. That's almost exactly what she was looking for. It's a fantastic job by her.
Very good shot. Looks like Julia has decided to draw to the edge here and see if she can move the play away from that center line guard. With the 4-point lead, I think this is a very good call. I don't think the Territories will go after it anyway. I believe they'll still keep going to the middle, but we'll wait and see.
You got to take some chances here if you're Northwest Territories late in this game, especially with the 4-point deficit. Alberta trying to keep things as simple as possible, and Northwest Territories will try and junk it up a little bit, try and get rocks in play, hope for a miss late in the end by Alberta, and maybe get back into this game. Mackenzie, another great draw weight. She's been really good today. Great draw weight by Mackenzie. Now Alberta sitting 2. And as Fred indicated earlier, Northwest Territories is going to ignore that rock, and they're going to come around everything here, trying to bury.
Matea has come up a little bit light here, but I don't think this is going to be that bad because it's going to give them another center line guard up there. The more stuff they get up in front, I think the better off they'll be.
So she kind of comes up to Adriana, her leads last rock. A little tap, taps it to a freeze, which isn't a bad result. Northwest Territories now sitting 3rd and 4th shot. Alberta sitting 2. However, Northwest Territories getting rocks in play, and that's kind of exactly what she wants here late in this game.
Yeah, Alberta's got to make a decision here whether they want to run the center line guard or whether they're actually just going to draw. And
Baco's having a little bit trouble deciding what they want to do here. Team Alberta, so they're going to call a timeout.
They'll call a timeout here and ask the coach what he thinks they should be doing.
Not a bad call. So they're going to bring out their coach, Glenna Rubin. Coach Rubin's going to hopefully help them figure out some strategy, try and figure out what they need to do. Fred, if I put the coach hat on you like Dustin was doing to me yesterday, what would you be telling your team?
I would actually encourage them to go out there and peel the center line guard. 4-point lead with the hammer. The only way that Territories is really going to have an opportunity to score many points is with center line guards or with rocks up front. I understand Alberta's looking at it and going, well, you know, I can't get them all off, but get them off one at a time and go from there.
Absolutely. Those center line guards are always going to hurt you. So the teams receiving 1 minute and 30 seconds for their timeouts here at the Canada Winter Games. You got 1 minute and 30 seconds to kind of talk things over. Really important at this age. It's not just kind of giving strategy advice, it's more kind of giving kind of whole advice. How are you going to throw this? What kind of ice are we going to take? You talk about the shot obviously as well, but you want to communicate. The coach usually communicates with the sweepers what they want to be communicating. It's kind of a check-in with the team. So we'll see what they come out of this timeout with.
It looks like the coach has suggested, or I don't know if the coach, but they've made the decision that they're going to get rid of that center line guard and
get rid of that center line guard, kind of like Fred indicated. That's one going to get you in trouble. Alyssa Nedwin, a good hitter in her own right. This one hanging out a little bit. Got to get it to curl a little bit, but she does get enough. Great shot there by Nedwin to get the center guard off.
So that was an opportunity not only for Alberta to talk to their coach, but it also gave the Territories a chance to talk to their coach and suggest, okay, I'm sure they're going to peel the center line guard. What do we want to do? So it allows the team to plan a little bit in advance. That's one of the nice things about the timeouts, that in younger curling they can also script what do they want to keep doing as the game goes on or the end goes on, I mean.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's where that coach experience comes in, kind of teaching them to think maybe 1 or 2 shots ahead. Sometimes we get caught up in the juvenile age and the junior age. We gotta get caught on the shot that we're out of hand, and sometimes we're not thinking too far ahead.
Yeah, sometimes we get tied up in, and it doesn't happen just in juniors, it happens at all levels. We get tied up on, okay, this is what we're doing, and then as the end carries on, sometimes that strategy needs to change.
Absolutely. So the center guard went up again. Northwest Territories replaced it. Nettoin going to try and do another peel here. Get rid of that center guard and get rid of any trouble that she might be in.
And she's got it off really well.
Great shot there by Nettoin.
And that's, again, Territories, they have to make a decision here pretty soon because Alberta is sitting too. Sooner or later, they're going to have to drag the play into the rings. We're getting down to third rocks here, and you don't have a lot of time, and they would like to score more than one, I believe. So,
while you mentioned time, that's a good segue to mention how much time these two teams have left. Northwest Territories with 6 minutes and 45 seconds left to play the rest of this end and the last one, so should have plenty of time. You're looking around 4.5 minutes, 4 minutes for an end. So the team should be good, and Team Alberta with plenty of time. Well over 10 minutes of play, thinking time still left to them. It's a great testament to Julia Bakos and her very authoritative and sometimes just being confident with her shot calls. So that's a very testament to her skipping ability. Obviously using her team's input, but being a skip is sometimes having to make that decision and make it quickly. So we've seen Alberta doing a great job of that today.
Alberta has elected that they would take this guard off as well. This one's a little more dangerous. It's a little closer if you happen to run this into the yellow rocks.
We've seen a timeout, so she was going to peel. And the coach maybe doesn't quite like it anymore, or maybe just the direction they were peeling it. What do you think, Fred?
I'm not sure what that was, whether that was their coach that was deciding, or they couldn't decide as a team whether they wanted to peel this rock or not.
That's the second timeout called by Alberta in this end. They will now be out of timeouts. Team Northwest Territories still has their 2 timeouts remaining. Alberta leading here 8-4 with Hammer playing in the 7th end. Alberta sitting 2. Northwest Territories has 1 rock frozen to the one on the top 12 with 1 rock in front of that one as well. Just a quick timeout here, so the coach's message must have been quick.
Yeah, it didn't take them very long. They must have got the decision made very quickly. We've got some finals over here, Joel. Looks like on the Newfoundland men's or boys' side over there, Newfoundland scores a big 3-ender in the 7th end, and New Brunswick has conceded in that one. In the sheet right beside them, Nova Scotia and BC, it appears that the BC girls have also conceded. And over on sheet 6, Manitoba PEI in the girls as well. And it looks like PEI has conceded over there.
So a few finals already here from the Canada Winter Games. Alberta on our sheet seems to have switched strategy up a little bit. The coaches, Glenn Rubin, has advised them maybe to go away from the peel now, putting a little bit more pressure on the Northwest Territories. Quinn, the third's rock has come into the top 4 foot. So Alberta now sitting 3.
Yes, they're sitting 3, but Territories is now asking her third to just come back and tap it back to the back of the 8 foot, which would be an excellent shot if she could get this as close to nose as possible.
That was the only danger there by the Alberta Stone slipping into the rings. If all of a sudden Northwest Territories make a good shot here and tap it back, they could be sitting 1. However, this rock seems to be hanging on them. They've taken the Alberta Stone out and rolled over towards the other one, which isn't a terrible result either.
No, that's not a bad result, Joel. Like, it gets them back over to the edge, so even if Alberta does hit and roll back towards the center line here, they're going to be behind the tee line and give the Territories something to draw to.
So now the Alberta third, Quinn Brodenick, trying to make rid of the Northwest Territory Stone. If she can hit this one, I think they would be wanting to keep it somewhere close to the nose and not roll behind the tee line is important.
Yes, I don't think they want to draw the play. They would just as soon play right out here in the wide open. Very good shot.
Good shot there by Prodanik. Alberta now sitting 3 with Hammer here in the 7th end.
Territories is going back out here to this wide outside in draw. We've seen this a couple times where they've gone out here and came back in.
She's had good success out here, hasn't she, Fred?
She has, yes.
So as long as she can find the weight, weight's going to be important, especially when you go out a little bit wider. It's going to be maybe a different path. But they've seen it a few times, and they had some good success back in the 3rd end. Hopefully they can draw on that experience here and maybe get one in there. If they could ever loop one right around, maybe to the 4-foot, even maybe go deep, wouldn't be too bad because all of a sudden you're cutting them down. But weight is the most important thing here. And line, both.
Yeah, this is a big shot, and well, this is a tough shot out here too. They've gone out here a couple times.
It is curling early on them here. However, if they can keep this straight, this could be a really good shot. They got to keep it moving. Sweepers are working on it. It's going to come a little bit short, just squeaking the rings. However, Alberta's still sitting 3.
Yes, that was actually, she had really good line. If she could have ever got that another 4 or 5 feet of weight, and she would have been really good. So Julia is going to go around that center line guard again and try and get it in there. And she doesn't really have to get in there that deep, Joel. If she can get herself up here to right beside her own rock, and be just fine as well. So she's got a lot of options here. She can go around, go top 4, or she can come up and sit right beside her own rock and top of the 8-foot, and it's still a good rock.
Bay Coast looking to apply some pressure here to Northwest Territories. Where you want to avoid is anywhere behind the tee line, because that would allow an out for Northwest Territories. This is sliding a little bit. Not where they wanted that one.
Just went a little bit too deep. Really the good news here is they only have one rock to come in, so if she does get in there, it's still only a single, and she should be able to. I think she's looking at the fact she'll have a draw somewhere, or maybe a hit.
So if Northwest Territories can get back to that one, get around anywhere top 4-foot would be nice. Will force Alberta to a single. Alberta, the biggest thing here, I guess, late in this end would be to score, to avoid that steal and to keep the momentum. Going up 9-4 would be huge going into the 8th end.
Yes, Tiana's got her work cut out for her here. She's facing 4, needs a big draw to keep the team alive.
Girls are working on it early for her. We're looking for around that 14.5 second draw weight. With that one being 15.5, that will end up light. Alberta now sitting 4, drawing for their 5th point of this end.
Yes, that was a tough break for Northwest Territories. They really needed to get in there on top of that blue one if they could, or behind the guard.
So Bay Coast looking to take full advantage. 5 points here would almost put the game out of reach. It would actually put the game out of reach. They would up be 9 points with only one end remaining. This would be the end of the game if Pecos were, in fact, to make this.
Yes, they're. I'm thinking that it's out of reach whether she makes it or not.
Pecos draw, sliding a little bit on her. It will end up in the back 8 foot, and it will be 5 points, and that will be a victory for Team Alberta. Whether
Yes.
Northwest Territories knows it or not, they are out of stones.
Yeah.
And a win for Team Alberta here on draw 3 of the Canada Winter Games. They will win this game by a score of 13-4. A solid game throughout for Alberta. They had that one blip in the third end where they gave up the 3. However, they did a fantastic job of battling back. Good resilience shown.
Yes, they had a strong game. They controlled the game right from almost start to finish. The only blip, like you said, they had was on that third end, and in that third end, Tiana made 2 really good draws from the outside in and put the 3 points on the board. But other than that end, they were in trouble right for the entire end, or sorry, entire game.
So now that our game's complete, we can kind of give an update on the different scores across the way. Freddie, can you see the one way over on sheet A?
On the sheet A over on the far side in the New Brunswick Newfoundland game, they're tied up at 7 playing the last end. On sheet 3, the next one over, New Brunswick Newfoundland, that one is over. Newfoundland won that one 7-3 after 7.
On sheet 4, Nova Scotia women, they won 9-3 in a 6-end victory over Team BC.
Sheet 5. On sheet 5, we've got just a 2-point difference here. BC is up 7-4. Nova Scotia does have hammer, though, in the 8th end. In sheet 6, that one is over. Manitoba beat PEI 7-3, 4 up. On sheet 7, we got the other Manitoba, and that one also is over. That finished in the 7th end at score of 7-2. Closer to us here on sheet 8, Saskatchewan, Ontario. In this one, Ontario got a big end here, Joel, in the 7th end. Got a 4-ender to put themselves up by 3.
8-5, yeah.
8-5. And then on sheet 9, Ontario and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan got themselves a deuce in 7 to be only 1 down coming home.
Good comeback there by Saskatchewan, not going away.
Saskatchewan has hung in there, got deuces in 5 and 7 to come back to within 1, 6 to 5-4 game. And over on our last sheet, this one is our Alberta boys playing against Northwest Territories. Alberta is pretty much in control of this game. They're up 6-2, so 4 up. And there's not many rocks to come left in that one.
So on behalf of Joel Peterman here in the booth, thank you, Fred, for joining me this morning. It's been a fantastic draw 3 here at the Canada Winter Games. On our feature sheet, we had Alberta taking home the victory 13-4 versus the Northwest Territories. We wish every athlete here the best of luck for the rest of the week. We'll see you later tonight at 5 p.m. for our next draw. Thank you so much for listening from the 2019 Canada Winter Games from Red Deer, Alberta. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you very much.